1 year ago, me was very different, I believe, than the me today. Not just body wise, but mental wise as well. I believe I am more mature, you could say. Of course, I am older, so that makes a big difference. I'm not mature as in the 30s, of course, but I've had the chance to talk with many people ranging from all ages, from 15 to 55. I've had the chance to talk with a bunch of successful people. I've had the chance to talk to a couple of successful athletes. And I believe that every day I'm learning with every new person that I meet and every new experience that I get. So let's just get straight to the point. 1 year ago, so 1 year and 4 months, I started boxing seriously, I could say. Before that, I'd been to a couple training sessions, but I haven't got to training for more than 2 weeks straight. Either I just gave up, you could say, or got sick, or whatever it was at the time. So I started training in late November of 2024. I remember that I had just broken up with my then girlfriend, and I started boxing, not because exactly I had broken up with her, but because I was actually planning to, and that was maybe a little bit of a push to get me started. So I started boxing, and I had a couple of friends that were doing fitness and everything. They were recommending me to get different kinds of supplements to get me stronger or help me train better or whatever it was, like pre-workout, creatine, protein, or whatever there is. There's quite a couple of supplements now. Well, I actually got protein. I did not get creatine. I actually got protein and pre-workout. And to be honest, protein may be good, but when you're just starting out, I don't think you actually need that. The only thing you need is to just show up. That's the most important thing that you could do at the beginning of some sort of new habit. Just showing up. Not doing it great, not doing it perfect, just showing up. That is the most important thing that I believe is what helped me actually do my greatest in the end. The next very important thing that made me, that I actually realized after a couple of months or maybe even about a year in, is trying to do things too early. I'm not saying tournaments. I'm saying seeing something on the internet and automatically thinking, why am I not doing that? You need to put your full trust in your coach. You can, of course, look at some different fitness exercises, plyometrics, those kind of things, of course. But if you don't actually trust your coach for what he says, how are you going to actually be able to trust him when you're in a ring and you're about to fight some guy you've never fought? You don't know how he fights, how strong he is, how fast he is. Now, I get there's some exceptions, but getting a pace with some coach is something you need to actually trust your coach to do. Maybe switching coaches in the future is an option. Maybe you should do that. I do not know your case, but to be able to actually be successful somewhat in a sport and actually get the chance to go in some good tournaments, I believe you should actually trust your coach. And I'm pretty sure you should trust your coach. Now, I'm not saying that just from me. I'm saying that from every other athlete I've talked about. People who are way more successful in the sport they're doing than me. I'm, of course, not that successful in my sport. I've been training for a year and a half. The only big tournament I have competed in is a national Bulgarian tournament. I got 5th place in my category. I have not gotten the medals, but for the time I have been boxing, I believe that is a pretty good placement. And I am proud of myself. I'll be competing in the next one in June from the 23rd to the 28th. And I believe I will do much better there. The reason I believe I was able to get to the point where I am right now, I had to do some things. I know how difficult it is to want to go out, to not miss training, to eat bullshit once in a while, not even once in a while, pretty much every day. And in the beginning, I was pretty much doing that. And that is probably the reason I wasn't able to actually keep going with the sport I chose. And the reason I kept quitting after 2 weeks. So when I started in November, before I even set foot in the gym, I knew I was going to take this seriously. I knew I was going to show up every single day to training. I knew that in my mind. I was already sure about it. I already knew that that was going to happen. And that is the reason that I was able to actually continue doing so. Also, with that comes missing a lot of going out, training on Friday when everybody else is out going to clubbing, doing drinking, I don't know what the fuck they do now. Sadly, unfortunately or fortunately, you miss out on a lot of things. You miss out, depending on what missing out is actually, since you're building something, discipline, strength, mentality, you're building a lot of things which take time to build. Because any Friday you can go out, any Saturday you can go out drinking, but it's very difficult to go 4 Saturdays without drinking. For some people, of course. And it's very difficult for some people to go 4 Fridays without going out and going to training every time. I could tell you it's very easy to go out 4 Fridays in a row. I have been getting used to the training. I mean, I can go every single day and have no problem. But I've also learned another thing from going every single day to training. You can get burned out very easily. Training 7 times a week is not good for your body, especially with the sleep I would get. I would be training from 8 to about 9:30, get home at 9:45 maybe, take a shower, eat, and I would probably be in bed by 11, maybe 11:30, wake up at 6 for school, 6:30. Now, to be honest, that 7 hours is not bad, but sleeping 7 hours or training that is not just dancing around is pretty difficult if it stacks up, because you can do it for a week, you can do it for 2 weeks, maybe even 3 or 4, but after doing it for a couple of months, it stacks up. Now, if you have the chance, get more than 7 hours of sleep, if you're like my case. The next thing I would like to talk about is being able to combine your everyday life with training. What I mean by that, not every going out needs to be going out to a club, going out for a drink. You could actually combine training with going out. And what I mean by that, you could go out for a run with a friend. You could meet up a couple of buddies, go for a hike. Every single activity that you do, and I'm not talking about training like intense training, I'm talking about chill, something you're not very you're not going to have a hard time doing, like a little run, a walk, something like that, some sort of activity. It will help your muscles relax, even if it sounds weird. Yes, walking, jogging, actually, not running, jogging is the right word, will help you. I'm not saying to jog 20 kilometers, I'm saying to jog 3. Something like that will help you a ton. Or going for tennis. Maybe tennis is a little bit more intensive, depending on how good you are, of course. But you can combine fun with activity, and that will correlate into your training. Now, these are some things that helped me personally. Combining my day-to-day life with my training. Let me know if any of these tips you believe are right. And you could also tell me a couple of tips of yours that I may be able to try. So that's it for today. Maybe today's video is a little bit more chill, not pushing anything, but just tips and a couple of things that helped me personally. I am in any way not an expert on these, as I am still 17 years of age, but I believe I have gained some experience about the things I've said over the last year and a half. So we're almost at 50 subscribers. We're still 953 subscribers away from 1,000, but we have gained 7 subscribers over the last 2 days. So I do believe that we're actually going to be able to gain the goal. So see you in tomorrow's video. Bye bye.